Alright guys, in my What's for Dinner video last week, I showed you a big pot of beef vegetable soup, and I'm going to show you today, as I'm putting one together, how I'm going to do this. Now, I've already cooked the beef. We had a cow butchered a while back, and this package of meat, 2 packages, it was labeled stew meat. So it was these chunks of beef. They're pretty good size. I would normally do a roast in my crock pot and then shred it up, but I wanted to use these packages of meat. So I'm actually going to probably maybe cut these down a little. Probably by the time they cook in my broth, you can see here where I have cooked the beef. And the reason I'm doing this a little different today is because I have 2 sons that are on the Daniel fast right now. So I am going to make, put some aside in a smaller kettle for them to leave out the meat in that portion. Now I know some of these other things are probably not on their Daniel fast, but the meat is the main thing, I guess, that I wanted to just leave out of a smaller kettle for them. Wanted otherwise I would probably just cook this beef until it's cooked down much further and then it just kind of shreds. But since I wanted to pull that out, I'm going to probably just chop this a little bit finer, and then once it gets back in the pot, that the portion that will have the beef, you know, you cook the fire out of this anyways. It cooks and cooks and cooks. By the time it's done, everything's kind of broken down. So I'm just going to tell you real quick what I'm doing. This is what I mentioned in the last video. These soups are good to use up a lot of things that you need to use up. For instance, I don't normally use tomato juice like this in it, but this has been open for a week or 2. We haven't finished it. It's still good, but I'm just going to go ahead and put this in my soup. This is some tomato sauce. I made homemade pizza sauce, and it used some tomato sauce. This is the remainder. That's going to go in there. I've got a few cherry tomatoes. Needs to be used up. That's going in there. This is from my freezer. I've talked about I'm wanting to do a little bit of use what's in my freezer pantry type of deal for January. So I have some beef gravy that was frozen. I have some chipotle pepper, chipotle sauce kind of deal. The little cans that you buy, we never use very much of it at a time because it's kind of spicy. So I freeze what's left. I have some, this is basil from our garden. I freeze it in ice cubes and then pop them out and put them in a freezer bag. I'm going to finish that off. And this is some frozen spinach left over in the bottom of the bag. We didn't finish it. I usually throw that in smoothies. I'm going to throw it in my soup today. Then I've had this on the pantry shelf for a little while. I haven't used it yet. So I'm going to put these tomatoes in there. And then I usually use some canned veggies because this is how my mom did it. That's kind of how I do it. So this is what I've pulled out to start with: diced tomatoes, corn, green beans, peas, and kidney beans. And then from my refrigerator, I'll add some fresh carrots. I'll chop those up, and then I'm going to add in a potato or 2. Like I said, I know all of this is probably not Daniel fast friendly, but yeah, that's what we're going with for today. So this is going to be a delicious soup. I'm getting ready to start adding things into my beef broth, and I'll show you what this looks like when I'm all done. Alright, I have everything that I just showed you already in my pot. I'll show you that in a minute. I decided to check out in the fridge what else I was going to add, and I was going to add the carrots, and I decided to go ahead and add a little bit of cabbage, some garlic. I've been trying to incorporate fresh garlic into our diet a little bit more, especially during winter season, because it's so helpful for you immune wise. And then I did not add onion in, which is very rare for me to cook without onion, you know, unless I'm making a cake. Yeah, no, I use onion a lot, but I'm not gonna chop one up today. I'm just gonna use some onion powder, some chopped onions, some black pepper, and I think my soup is gonna be flavorful enough just like that. So yeah, so here are the last few ingredients I'm going to add in. How pretty this looks. I've added in everything except my canned vegetables. I got the little cherry tomatoes in there. I've got the spinach in there, the basil, the chipotle. So pretty already. It looks like, I don't know, just so colorful. That's pretty good for fresh spinach that was thrown into the freezer. Bottom of the bag type of deal. Looking pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my canned veggies here in a second. And my spices, carrots, and garlic. I think I'm going to leave the potato out this time. I tell you, that's why these are so great. You can just do whatever you want. It's always going to taste delicious. So yeah, I'm going to get back to it. Alright guys, I can tell you that these turned out fabulous looking, and I have a feeling they're going to taste delicious as well, and I can't take credit for them. This is my first time to make scones, but it was a box mix, and I think they're going to be delicious. So there is a final look at these pumpkin cinnamon chip scones. Alright guys, here is dinner for tonight. I fried up some potatoes and onions, and then I used some steak that we had left from the beef vegetable soup that I showed you yesterday. I sauteed that up in the pan with some A1 and put it on top of the potatoes, and we have some corn on the side. So that's what's for dinner tonight. This is kind of like one of our favorite meals from the state fair, only they have peppers and mushrooms in it. I just didn't have that, so this is what we've got tonight. Hey guys, I wrote down in my meal planner at the beginning of the month to try to work through some things that I had in my freezer, and I've really knocked a few things out the past week. So this is one more meal that came from the freezer for my husband's side Christmas. So I think it was like the 23rd or something when we got together for Christmas. I made a big, I think it was like 3 or 4 roast, and I turned it into barbecue beef, and it was from our cow that we had purchased, and we're using the delicious beef from that now. And so this is my mom's recipe. The only thing it's missing, she always put shredded carrot in hers for just a little bit of a color, and maybe, I don't know, just a tiny maybe bit of taste, but I didn't have any carrots when I made it. Other than that, it is beef roast. You shred it, and I add, if I'm making, I don't know, say 2 or 3 pounds of the roast meat, then I add in maybe about 1 pound of ground beef, and it just kind of breaks up the texture a little bit and stretches it a little bit. So that's what this is. And my mom always made it with, maybe you can tell by the color, good old-fashioned open pit. And I don't know, I grew up with open pit, so I'm kind of partial to it, but we love Sweet Baby Ray's around here. My husband especially loves Sweet Baby Ray's, so I actually used one bottle of, it was actually the Aldi version. I wanted to try that out and compare it to Sweet Baby Ray's. It's their version of Sweet Baby Ray's. I let my husband try it plain, and he said it tasted like the same thing to him. So good job, Aldi, for making a good your version of Sweet Baby Ray's. Definitely cheaper. I think it was 99 cents for the bottle. So it's a bottle of Sweet Baby Ray's and then maybe 2 bottles of open pit. Like I said, I made a very, very big amount. My crock pot container, the crock pot was full. So what I did today, I got it out of the freezer this morning. It was still a little bit frozen when I put it in here, but I just poured some fresh open pit on it and I have it on low heat, and it is just reheating through, and we'll have that on buns, and I'm pretty positive that it'll taste as good as it was the first time. And if you have leftovers, stick them in the freezer instead of throwing them out, and when you pull them back out, it's like a win-win for everyone. You don't have to cook. You've got a quick, delicious meal. So that's what we're having today, barbecue beef sandwiches. Okay, here's a look at what is for dinner tonight. We are on such a Thai kick right now. There's a wonderful little local restaurant, and we just lately are there more than anywhere else. So these are their vegetable spring rolls. They are so delicious. This is chicken pad thai medium spicy, that's mine, and beef pad thai Thai hot, and that is my husband's, and that will burn your mouth off. That is what we are having for dinner on this Friday night. We were going to go out, and honestly, I just didn't feel like going out, so James brought home takeout. All right, we're diving in. Thai tonight. This is a triple berry cobbler. Easiest thing in the whole wide world. The cobbler recipe that I used, I learned from my mom. It's one of those a cup recipes. Cup of flour, cup of sugar, cup of milk, and some butter dotted along the top. Yum. This is the bagged frozen triple berry blend from Costco. So good, you guys.